And we got one gentleman who was a part of that great effort for the Tigers. We have defensive back and Delaware State graduate coming up pretty soon. Esaias Guthrie. How you doing, man? Congratulations on the win, man. How's it feel to be a champion right now? Oh, I think Xfinity got Esaias.
Xfinity gets everybody, man.
Yeah,
How y'all know it's
Xfinity got
Xfinity?
everybody. Well,
This
we
is
don't know
bad
what he
PR
has.
for Xfinity. We don't know that's Xfinity.
Oh, is he back? Okay, I think he's back up. Yeah. We were asking you, man, like, how does it feel to be a champion? And just like, what was it like, being dominant as you guys were on Saturday?
It was amazing. It was amazing. We knew what we could do, but to see it all happen was a blessing. This is a testament to our work and kind of our sacrificing throughout the season. Whether it was not being able to go home for Thanksgiving or not being able to go home during the summertime just so we could work and put that work in, man. It was just to see it all happen and come to fruition, man. It meant a lot to us.
Yeah, but before the game started, TC Taylor, I believe it was on Friday, mentioned like he wanted you guys to enjoy Atlanta, not just think too much about the game, which is important, obviously, but like just enjoy the experience, kind of like be in that moment. Do you kind of think that kind of took the pressure off you guys going to Saturday?
I don't think it was pressure really on us to ever really start off with. Honestly, we knew what we could do versus that team after watching the film. But yeah, I mean, he kind of just told us, look, man, you guys are still college kids. And he says it all the time. As much as we are locked in and trying to get the common goal achieved, man, we're still college kids. So he always promotes us going out and just having fun and enjoying ourselves, just making sure we're being safe doing it.
Yeah, I wanted to know, did you guys know early on, like, hey, like we got them beaten, like they're no match for us, despite the fact going in, the MEAC had been talked about this conference that was tougher, that was more physical, that pretty much had dominated the Celebration Bowl all these years. Like, when did you guys know you kind of had their number on Saturday?
For the defense, I mean, the moment we kind of stepped on the field, we kind of got a feel for what was going to happen. But then the moment that they actually benched their quarterback, which was probably middle of the second, beginning of the second, we kind of knew, like, yeah, like they ain't got it.
I'm gonna let Chris Stevens ask you a question because you transferred from Delaware State to that state, and Chris Stevens is a tremendous Delaware State fan and alum. So, Chris, go ahead.
I actually covered Esaias when he was with the Hornets in 2022. He may not remember, but before I was there before he left. But just what went into you transferring to J State? What was it about that program that drew you in? And obviously that turned out to be a great decision for you. So just walk us through what made that process.
Yeah, I mean, I entered the transfer portal right after the first game of the season in 2022. And so that was right before the transfer portal windows had went into effect. So that actually had to be pulled out of the transfer portal. And then I kind of just had to sit that year out. But I was always, I had a and I was seeing the things that they were doing. So I was always in contact with him, talking.
I think Xfinity got him again.
Yeah, I think he froze. So we'll wait for him to come back, and I ask him a couple other questions that I had in mind. But
yeah, we'll try to get him back. So what did y'all think of like him saying like when he knew when Eric Phoenix got replaced in the third quarter, it pretty much was game over for them? Was it the same sense y'all got?
It was because it didn't make any sense because it looked like he knew what he was doing when he was out there Phoenix about. I mean, I'm not saying Ryan Stubblefield didn't, but it was clear that Eric Phoenix just needed to get some reps in because of course the last time we saw him he was in a walking boot when they when South Carolina State had played Norfolk State 3 weeks earlier. But we made the all of us noted during the during the game, during our live stream, that
I'm gonna try to
he
switch
would.
over.
All right.
He said he's gonna switch over. All right.
Yeah, we'll
So,
try to get Esaias back.
all right. So, yeah, we all know that Ken, Jared, and myself noted that Phoenix was not 100%, but that Jackson State defense was everywhere. Like, he couldn't breathe. Nobody on that South Carolina State offense could breathe, and that was probably the most dominant defensive performance in a Celebration Bowl for any team that I've seen. And of course, the game has been going on 10 years. So the Jackson State defense definitely showed up, made things difficult for South Carolina State, and they just were never in the ball game.
Okay, Esaias, are you good now?
Yeah, I actually just switched over on my phone. I think my computer iPad was kind of messing up, so hopefully this is better.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody with questions for Esaias?
No, did he finish? Did he finish Chris's question?
And I didn't actually. Let me get Chris's question.
Okay.
So I wanted to come down, come up here on a visit. I paid out of pocket, brought me and my family up here. Came to the SWAC championship. Didn't really tell anybody. Just came up here to see what the vibe was like. And so I did that. Came up here and I actually got the opportunity to meet with Coach TC and Coach O and just have a conversation with them too. But if anybody remembers, that year or that game was the same game Dion had announced that he was leaving. And so they just told me straight, like, look, man, it's going to be hitting the press pretty soon here. This was going to happen. This is how it's going to go. We don't know how things follow up. We don't know if Coach TC is going to get the job or not. We know he's a favorite. But if he does get the job, we want you. We want you to be a part of our program. We want you to be a part of this rebuild. And I just had a few conversations with them throughout the weeks following. And I just knew after those conversations, man, I wanted to be a Jackson State Tiger.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and I have to ask, obviously, because being a Hornet and all, and seeing you play the first couple years there, just do you keep in touch with some of the guys from Delaware State? Have you been following what's going on? And if you have any thoughts on what's transpired in the last couple years, what do you think that's going to take for this DSU program to kind of get back on solid foot, in your opinion? Obviously, you played at Middletown High. You're an all-stater there, so you know Delaware pretty well. So what do you think it's going to take for DSU to kind of get back on track a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have a good leader in the building, and also have the administration that believes in you and can put the things that you need behind you. I think that's going to be big, making sure that the administration is behind whoever's at the helm. But yeah, I mean, I keep in touch with a lot of the guys there. One of my best friends, he finished out playing there last season. A lot of us are playing at different places. Matt Knoll is up here with me. Our punter at Delaware State, I got him up here. And so actually that was really special for me to end it out with him. This season was pretty dope. But yeah, I mean, just getting the right person at the helm up there is going to be big. A guy who knows the area, who can recruit well, and who can put certain system in place. Because at the end of the day, I mean, the MEAC is like the Wild Wild West, man. I mean, at any given Sunday up there, one team could be last this year and be second next year and first, and just doing different things like that. So you just never know with them up there.
So you've had a chance to play in both conferences, obviously. So what do you think fundamental differences are, between the way the MEAC plays and the way the SWAC plays?
I'd say as far as I can't say as far as play, I think it's kind of the same. Just because of how we were built in our program at JSU. I mean, we were a very physical bunch, and that's just what we pride ourselves on, is being physical. And so they always say like the MEAC is more physical. I never really experienced that myself. I think the biggest difference is the amount of teams and how much it is different in that way. And just. I mean, the SWAC is kind of weird. Like the top teams are kind of going to be the top teams. Like you kind of have an idea of who's going to beat who, how much they're going to win by, just stuff like that. But like I said, in the MEAC is like the Wild Wild West. Like you'll get the last team beating the first seed. Like weird. Like it's just weird like that. So you can never really call it, So I mean, Howard won it last year. I think they were third this year or something like that. So you just never know.
Esaias, let me ask you, when you were considering Jackson State, were there any other schools that you were considering?
Yeah, definitely. Coming out of Delaware State, I had a lot of schools hit me up, HBCUs and PWIs. So I had a plethora of different options to go to. I mean, I was recruited by I think every HBCU, in both the MEAC and the SWAC conferences. And so when we go play, I'm definitely very very well
Right.
versed
But I
with
guess
the.
what I'm asking you is, I'm saying, I'm sure you got hit up by a lot of schools, but I'm saying, were there any other programs that you would like seriously consider
Oh
other than
yeah,
Jackson State?
yeah. So I mean, I went to state in HBCU. That was big for me. So I think I went on two official visits only, and it was Morgan State because I love their brand of defense, with Coach Sewell over there, and then I visited Alabama State because I love their defense as well. Still do, man. Still a big fan of what they're doing up there. Still keeping contact with their coaches too. So yeah, it was definitely those two were in the running as well.
Yeah, Jared, you got a question?
Yeah, Esaias, you're if anybody that follows you on social media knows you are not short on confidence, and for a good reason, because you have a loaded secondary unit with Kaverick Wiggins and Robert McDaniel and Shamar Hawkins and those guys. How would you describe you guys' chemistry together and the style of play that you guys have?
We're just having fun, honestly. I mean, everybody knows their role and what they have to do. And that's the biggest thing, man. When you have guys in your room who know their role and know the position and know what we're trying to do from each week, from week to week. That's big, man. I think that's a big part of who we are as a defense. My DB core took a lot of slack early on in the season, for giving up a lot of passing yards. And with that was just because we were trying to take the runaway so heavily that we had to pull in some safeties, pull in our nickel, do different stuff like that, and be able to be willing to just give up the pass because we knew certain teams didn't want to live like that. And so later on in the season, we got the opportunity to show that we were the dominant DB group. And so, man, it was fun. But yeah, we're loaded, man, and everybody knows their job.
Yeah, and talk to me about TC Taylor. Everybody sees the things that happened between the old regime going out and him being ushered in as the head coach, all the recruits that entered the transfer portal, the guys coming in, and him
Yeah,
having to regroup from the ground up. Talk to
yeah.
me about TC Taylor and what he means to this program.
He is the program. I mean, he's the heartbeat. He's the breath. He's everything and above. We move as he moves. And so we know that, and he knows that he does a great job of leading us week to week, day to day. Uh, but yeah, man, I was actually his first ever recruit, and first commit as well. And so I seen how he had him and Coach O had to rebuild this program from the ground up, not just in recruits, but in coaching staff, and support staff, and training staff, and equipment staff. Some people just think you go out and get some players and you're good. Nah, you got to build a staff. You have to learn how to be a head coach, right? You got to learn how to go into a week and how do I sit down and go through the process and how does travel look like? How does a off week look like? Things of that nature. So I mean, he learned on the go, he learned on the fly, and he learned from looking at different people before him. And he's done a great job, and I couldn't appreciate him more.
And just one more question about the Celebration Bowl. Where would you put that performance
Yeah.
of all of your moments in your football career?
As far as my personal performance or team performance.
You could say your team performance, you as a football player in general, all the moments in your football life. Where do
Yeah.
you put that moment against all of them?
I mean, it has to be number one just because it's a natty. You know what I'm saying? That's not like a SWAC championship. It's not a conference championship. It's not a state championship or anything of that nature. I'm the HBCU national champion. And I can say that with pride. I can say that and know that I did it in a dominant fashion. I mean, that's a special thing about it. We didn't just go out there and play a close game and pulled it out. No, we dominated them from start to finish. And so that's what we wanted to do at the end of the day. Our goal was to be the number one team in FCS football. And so that's how we played. We weren't really looking to be the number one HBCU in the country. No, we wanted to be the number one FCS team in the country. And to do that, we had to be dominant against our other HBCU peers, and we did that.
And the last thing for me, Esaias, and thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it, man. Like as a Jackson State alum, and you know playing for the school the last couple of years, a lot of people always talk about just the strong support from the fan base and the alumni. Just tell people who may not be familiar with that type of experience, like what's that like, and also like what is it like to have that support and win the championship at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, when you join this family, you're joining a family. You're not joining a football program. You got 60,000 people who care about you, who want to see you do well on and off the field. Jackson, Mississippi is a small town. And it's a poor town, to be quite honest with you. But one thing they take pride in is Jackson State football. Week in and week out, they make sure that they're at those games. It's supporting whether it's online or in person. And so that's the special thing that we can say that even when we travel and go to away games, I have a thing where I go out to the coin toss. I let them know, hey, welcome to Jackson, Mississippi. Because we travel that deep to where it's not a home game for you anymore, buddy. You are at away. That's how deep we travel. I mean, you can go back to our Alabama State game, and you can see both sides of the stadium, man. And not only can you see both sides of the stadium, but you also recognize that we have a big patch up on their side where they tried to put, I guess, our parents up on their side, kind of ducked off away. But I mean, we travel deep, man, and I love our support staff. I love our fan base, man. They do a great job of making it uncomfortable for teams.
Yeah, and they really do. Like we always talk about on our message board and our website, like Jackson State fans take over the opposing stadiums wherever they go, including Grambling State University. So, so yeah, like I mean, the support has been strong for decades and decades, and continue to be strong. So, Esaias, thanks a lot for joining us, man. Really appreciate it, and congrats on the championship, man. And I know everybody in Jackson State is pretty happy about that.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you guys, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Appreciate you guys giving us the coverage that we need as HBCUs, and spreading the light on us.
Yeah, no problem, man. No doubt, man.
All right, thanks for joining us, Esaias. We appreciate you.
Guys, appreciate y'all.
All right.